Keth Varun tapped the authorization code into the fleet console. Red lights blinked across the bridge of the Asterisk Vanguard's Fury Asterisk. The orbital blockade locked into place. Coalition dreadnoughts formed a perfect sphere around Earth, their gravitic fields sealing every approach vector. No ships in, no signals out except those the Coalition controlled. "Blockade active, strategist," reported Lieutenant Tira. "Earth's orbital defenses neutralized." "Casualties, 0, Keth nodded, his projections held. Humans lacked the fleet to challenge them. This containment war would end in hours, not cycles. Surrender or starve. Admiral Soren Thale strode onto the bridge. His armored crest gleamed under the lights. "Excellent. Now precision strikes. Target their power grids. North American fusion plants first. Minimal civilian impact. They'll kneel when the lights die." Keth's claws hesitated over the targeting overlay. "Admiral models predict 80% compliance within the first blackout cycle, but they're distributed networks." Thale cut him off with a glare. "Your models assumed compliance, strategist. Fear breaks primitives faster than math." He activated the strike order. Railgun batteries hummed to life. Keth watched the feeds. Slender projectiles lanced down from orbit. They pierced atmospheres without a sound, burrowing into cooling towers and transformer arrays. Explosions bloomed like silent flowers across the globe. New York, Tokyo, Lagos. Beijing, grids cascaded offline in chain reactions. Earth went dark. Keth leaned forward. His primary display split into intercept feeds. Coalition jammers should have silenced everything. But human emergency bands punched through, low bandwidth, resilient signals he'd overlooked. "Captain Vance, this is Central Command," crackled a human voice from Chicago's backup relay. Calm, precise. "Grid loss at 92%. Reroute auxiliary power from hydro reserves. Prioritize hospitals and data centers. Logistics teams deploy mobile generators within the hour." No panic, no screams. Keth flagged it, statistical anomaly. Pre-blockade sims predicted mass hysteria, riots, breakdowns, surrender broadcasts. Instead, coordination spiked. Another intercept, Dr. Akoy here. Biohazard protocols active. Quarantine drones launching from offshore platforms. Containment fields up in 5. Medevac priority to strike zones. Keth's algorithms churned. Human response time, half the projected minimum. He routed the data to his secondary console. Lieutenant Tira analyzed these bursts. "They're organizing faster than our Deathworlder baselines." Tira's tendrils flickered. "Impossible, even orcs fracture under blackout. These." Humans sound bored. Thale barked a laugh. "Bored, they're blind and broken." "Envoy send, transmit the ultimatum. 1 hour, full disarmament or we escalate." Envoy Lyra Sen appeared on the comms hologram. Her diplomatic robes shimmered. "Transmitting now, Admiral." She keyed the broadcast. Coalition amplifiers hijacked every surviving human frequency. "People of Earth," Lyra's voice echoed, translated into a dozen dialects. "Your leadership has provoked this containment. Surrender all weapons, stand down militaries, comply within 1 hour or face total orbital denial. This is mercy." Keth monitored the aftermath. Human bands lit up not with pleas but queries. "Copy that, Central," replied a voice from Vance. "Ultimatum logged, supply chains holding at 70%, fuel convoys en route to blackout zones. Estimated restore 4 hours. 4 hours, Keth's projections shattered. Humans should beg by now. He pulled up satellite visuals. In the dark sprawl of Europe, headlights converged. Truck columns snaked through ruined streets, generators humming. In Asia, solar arrays flipped online from hidden bunkers. Africa's mobile clinics deployed anti-radiation foam, pre-staged, untouched by strikes. "Strategist," Tira said. "Their civil defense net just tripled bandwidth. They're sharing strike data, real time." Keth's crest flattened. He ran fresh sims. Inputs, calm voices, rapid reroutes, prepped redundancies. Output, human cohesion at 140% of baseline. The math looped. Restraint wasn't passivity, it was loading. Thale paced. "Jamming those bands, escalate strikes, hit their water plants next." "Admiral," Keth warned. "Intercepts show decentralized command. No single head to cut off. Models now predict." "Models?" Thale slammed a fist on the console. "They grovel or burn." Lyra Sen's hologram flickered back. "Human response incoming." A new voice filled the bridge from Vance again. "Broadcast wide unencrypted. Coalition forces, this is Captain Mara Vance, Earth Logistics Command. Ultimatum received. We're rerouting now. Supplies inbound. You want surrender? Send coordinates. We'll deliver terms with the coffee. Laughter rippled through the human bands. Keth froze, coffee, amid apocalypse. Tira recoiled. There, mocking us. Keth's screens multiplied. Human drones swarmed from ocean platforms, tiny, agile, evading point defenses. They sprayed reflective chaff over strike sites, buying time. Ground crews jury-rigged fusion taps from vehicle reactors. Lights flickered back in pockets. A hospital here, a command post there. Dr. Akoi's voice cut in. Radiation spikes contained. Field meds deploying. Casualties minimal. Keep those lines open. Teams. Minimal. Strikes hit megacities. Keth cross-referenced. Human dead under 1%. Their normal disaster drills, hurricanes, quakes, plagues had hardened them. Coalition sims treated Earth as a soft target. Deathworlder oversight. Thale snarled. Full barrage, glass the grids. Keth stood. Admiral, wait. Their coordination, it's accelerating. Look. He projected the net. Human signals wove a web, pulsing stronger in the dark. Generators roared online. Ham radios bridged blackouts. Citizen bands shared power schematics. One intercept chilled him, a child's voice steady. Mom grids down, switching to pedal gens, data relay active. Children prepped, Lyrasen paled. They're not breaking, they're adapting. Keth's claws flew over keys. New projection, human counter-logistics at full tilt. Fuel trucks evaded patrols. Submarines surfaced with missile silos, hidden until now, restraint weaponized, Thale whirled. What is this? Before Keth answered, alarms blared. Coalition pickets reported contacts, human stealth craft slipping the blockade, missiles inbound. Earth stayed dark no longer. Lights bloomed from the shadows faster than the strike. Keth stared. The humans organized in the void and turned it against them. His models screamed failure. The containment war had just begun. Keth's console erupted in red alerts. Picket line breached, he snapped. Drones away, swarms alpha through Zeta into atmosphere, map every resistance node. The bridge shuddered as missiles streaked past the viewport. Admiral Thale gripped his command rail. Counterfire, lock those stealth ghosts. Keth ignored the chaos. His screens filled with drone feeds, pinpricks descending through Earth's turbulent skies. Ion storms crackled below, but the swarms punched through, sensors hungry for data. Goal clear, pinpoint human command hubs before they unraveled the blockade. First pings lit up. Urban clusters pulsed with signals, New York, Mumbai, Lagos. Resistance nodes confirmed. Keth tagged them green for strikes, but anomalies flickered. Rural grids activated, ham radios linking farms to factories. Humans scavenged power from nowhere. Strategist, Thale growled. Targets. Deploying now, Admiral. Drones vectoring. Envoy Lyrasen leaned over his shoulder. Their adaptation rate, it's off charts. Keth nodded once. Drones dove lower, evading flak bursts. Human anti-air nets snapped online, but too slow. Maps solidified, supply depots, rally points. He marked kill zones in crimson overlays, storm-ravaged badlands where no sane species tread. Then a convoy signal ghosted through one. Keth froze. Impossible. Sector Delta 7 uninhabitable, winds shear at 300 kph. Radiation from old warheads. Thale barked a laugh. They're bait, ignore. But Keth zoomed the feed. Trucks, civilian rigs, retrofitted, barreled straight into the kill zone. No evasion, head-on. Captain Mara Vance keyed her wristcom in the dim glow of a repurposed warehouse. Freight manifests rerouted. All civilian haulers to military priority. 12-hour turnaround. Her logistics team hustled crates, fuel cells from agri-runs, meds from pharma convoys. Alarms wailed outside, coalition drones overhead. A young sergeant paused. Ma'am, those storms? Storm protocols active, Vance cut in. Tires chained, hulls sealed, move. She punched the convoy manifest. 200 rigs rolled out, engines growling. Coalition scans would flag them as civi traffic until they hit the front. Link to Akoi's field teams, she added. Bioshields on every cab, they punch through. Trucks surged into the maelstrom. Winds howled, but reinforced frames held. Drivers gripped wheels, faces calm under rad suits. Keth's terrain model shattered. Convoy confirmed, Delta 7. They're driving through, Thale whirled. Suicide run, bombard them. Negative, Keth countered. Live feeds, vehicles adapted, tires grip hurricane slicks, cabins pressure sealed, casualties, zero projected. Claws flew. He overwrote the model mid-battle Earth's uninhabitable zones, now viable human highways. Storms weren't barriers, they were routes. Drone swarm tightened focus. Human trucks evaded micro-strikes, weaving on inertial dampers jury-rigged from shipping tech. One drone latched a tracer. Feeds showed interiors, drivers sipping coffee, chatting on open channels. Logistics chatter intercepted, Keth read aloud. Vance Central storm cells nominal, ETA front 0600, fuel dump active. Lyra's frills quivered. Vance. Who's that? Logistics commander. Keth cross-checked. Rerouted civilian fleets in 12 hours. Our Sims gave that 30 days minimum. Thale slammed a fist. Escalate, coastal interdiction now, block their ports, dare them to leave those hives. Keth projected the new op. Coalition cruisers slid into position, guns trained on shorelines. Human cities hugged coasts vital for trade, cut them off, starve the fight. Interdiction live, Thale declared. Broadcast the dare, surrender or starve. Lyra hesitated. Admiral, their restraint. They're primitives, Thale snapped. Fear breaks them. Keth watched feeds. Human ports went dark, no panic. Dock cranes pivoted inward, fortifying. Submersibles slipped harbors, old freighters, now missile boats. Then the response hit. Doctor. Imani Akoi crouched in a mobile lab truck, convoy rumbling through the storm. Rad spikes contained, she broadcast. Field meds deploying, drivers pop the tabs, keeps the nausea down. Her team sealed breach kits on hulls. Coalition drones buzzed close, one exploded against a jammer drone. Akoi glanced at her scanner. Biocontainment holding, no leaks. A driver ahead radioed, Doc, wind shear at max, holding. Affirm, she replied. Your rad suits are Deathworld grade, push, she keyed Vance. Supply lines gold, we're through Delta 7, front teams resupplied in 10. Akoi's gloved hands mixed a fresh batch, anti-rad cocktails from pandemic stockpiles. Humans didn't conquer storms, they commuted through them. Keth's bridge alarms screamed again. Coastal interdiction failing, he reported. Human subs evading, convoys rerouting inland through the storms. Thale's face purpled. What? Look! Keth threw hollows, trucks poured from ports, vanishing into Badlands. Drones pursued, but humans countered with cheap jammers flung from trucks like confetti. One feed captured it, a human crew chief laughing into a comm. Coalition buzzers on tail, jammer out Fox 2. Kill zone Delta 7 lit with activity. Convoys converged, unloading crates under howling gales. Generators spun up. Field hospitals bloomed. No fear, routine. Keth's math collapsed. Coalition fleets excelled at open space blitzes, precision strikes across stars. Humans, they turned planetary hells into logistics webs. Admiral, he said quietly, their restraint, its doctrine, they hold back until pushed, now full spectrum. Thale snarled, double the barrage, glass those zones. Lyra gripped Keth's arm. Strategist pulled drones, we misjudged, too late. Human anti-drone swarms launched, drones eating drones, feeds winked out. Keth marked a fresh kill zone, inland hub, storm nexus, perfect trap, ordnance queued, then humans drove straight through it, trucks barreled in, lights piercing the gale, no hesitation. Crews waved at failing drone cams, almost mocking. Keth's console flatlined. There! Inside the zone, unscathed. Explosions bloomed, not coalition ordnance. Human counter-battery, the kill zone flipped. Thale roared, bridge shook as return fire raked the fleet. Keth stared at the blooming lights. Humans hadn't left their cities. They'd bypassed them entirely, using Earth itself as the weapon. His models reset to zero. The containment war inverted, and the humans accelerated. Keth's finger stabbed the commit key. Raider squadrons streaked toward the human fuel depots, plasma lances primed. Sever the arteries, he murmured to the bridge crew. No engines, no fight. Admiral Thale nodded from the command dais. Timeline, collapse in 72 hours, their vehicles starve first. Drones fed live imagery to Keth's console. Vast pipelines snaked across fractured plains, guarded by human sentries in battered trucks. Coalition raiders dove, beams carving black scars into the earth. Explosions ripped storage tanks. Flames bloomed orange against the night. Keth cross-checked models. Human armor massed at 3 inland hubs. Without fuel, they'd grind to halt. Perfect containment. Then a new feed pinged. Inland, amid a scrapyard graveyard, human crews swarmed twisted metal hulks. Captain Mara Vance stood at the center, tablet in hand. She pointed at a rusted freighter carcass. Strip the chassis, weld mounts for those generators, trains roll by dawn. Workers in grease-smeared coveralls attacked with torches and cranes. Sparks flew like fireflies. They dragged hull plates into new shapes, bolted tracks onto flatbeds. Armored behemoths took form, trains plated in scavenged steel, turrets sprouting from cabs. Keth zoomed the drone. How? Craters pocked the continent from prior strikes. No straight rails left. Yet humans laid flex tracks over rubble, engines growling on biofuel jury rigs. Raiders report secondary explosions, a tech called. Humans torched their own reserves. Denial protocol? Thale laughed. Smart, but futile, no refineries untouched. Keth frowned at the scrapyard feed. Vance climbed aboard the lead train, barking into a radio. Logistics net, this is Ironclad 1, loading munitions now, push to forward resupply points. Trains shuddered forward, wheels biting cratered earth. They hauled crates, fuel drums, even mobile forges. Humans rode the roofs, scanning skies with shoulder launchers. Keth routed fresh raiders. Target the trains, mobility dies next. Beams lanced down. One train erupted, derailing in a fireball. But the convoy split, fanning into ravines. Survivors accelerated, spitting flak that shredded pursuing fighters. Losses mounting, the tech warned. Acceptable, Keth snapped. He pulled up fuel telemetry. Human trucks idled less. Some sputtered on odd vapors, wood gas. Vegetable oils, Vance's voice crackled over intercepted comms. Switching to synth protocol, bioreactors online. Run the blends, 20% algae, 10 scrap oil, balance methanol from plastics. Keth blinked. Improvised fuels, his models flagged error. Humans built reactors under fire. Drone cam caught it. In a bombed-out factory, crews pumped biomass into sealed vats. Enzymes bubbled, pipes snaked to truck tanks. Engines coughed, then roared smooth. No pause. Convoys rolled out, tanks topped. Thale loomed over Keth's station. Explain. They're synthesizing fuel from waste. Scrap, sewage, crops. Engines adapt mid-run. Impossible volume. Keth shook his head. Watch. Night cycle deepened. Human units hit a contested ridge. Coalition ground teams pinned them there hours prior. Marines charged, rifles cracking. Coalition troops fell back, disciplined volleys covering retreat. Keth leaned in. Resupply incoming, trucks crested the ridge, tires churning mud. Crews leaped out, slapping ammo crates onto shoulders. Medics dragged wounded aboard. Within minutes, fighters reloaded, engines refueled from jerry cans. No downtime. Marines pushed forward, gaining the ridge. Relocate, Vance ordered over open channel. Hub echo shifts 5 clicks north. Cover fire. Trains whistled in from flanks, laying suppressing barrages. Trucks peeled off, vanishing into storm-lashed gullies. Keth's console mapped it. Fight, resupply, relocate. One cycle, no attrition spike. Envoy Lyracen burst onto the bridge. Strategist, pull the raiders, their logistics fractalize. Thale whirled. We break them at dawn. Keth ignored them, eyes on a priority feed. Dr. Imani Akoy directed crews at a viral hot zone. Coalition bioprobes meant to soften defenses. Humans contained it. Akoy sealed a breach suit. Aerosolize the counters, flood the vectors. Misters hissed, neutralizing agents midair. Infected zones cleared in hours. Troops emerged, decontaminated, back to lines. Keth's math unraveled further. Fuel severed. Humans brewed more. Bioattacks, they contained and countered. Mobility, trains from trash. He keyed a private line to Thale. Admiral, their restraint was calibration. We forced full spectrum. Every human adapts like it's Tuesday. Thale's face hardened. Commit the reserves, orbital glassing on those hubs. Lyra grabbed Keth's shoulder. No, negotiate. We misjudged their baseline. Keth pulled up the inland hub feed. Armored trains converged again. Crates unloaded under drone fire, flak guns swatting threats. Generators hummed. Fresh synth tanks rolled off assembly lines built from wreckage. Vance stepped from a cab, wiping hands. Fuel net stable, push the counteroffensive, Earth provides. A coalition bomber dove. Human sprayers launched, drones laced with chaff and seekers. The bomber shredded mid-dive. Keth's models reset. Humans didn't collapse. They accelerated, turning Earth scraps into sinews of war. Then alarms wailed. Human missiles arced from the continent, multi-stage beasts ignoring point defenses. They climbed, hungry for orbit. Thale bellowed orders. Bridge lights flickered as impacts rocked the fleet. Keth stared at the screens. Fuel targeted. Humans built new fuel under fire, and now they struck back from the ground up. Keth slammed his console. Ground teams deploy now. Secure the inland corridor, Grid 7 Alpha. It's clear of major hubs. Drop pods, full assault pattern. Shuttles screamed from the fleet's underbelly. Screens lit with descent vectors. Keth's models predicted a clean sweep. Flat terrain, sparse population, perfect for staging reserves. Humans scrambled in orbit, but ground would break them. Pod 1 breached atmosphere. Feedback crackled. Contact minimal, soil stable. Pod 2 followed. Then alarms shrieked across Keth's bridge. Human signals spiked. A voice boomed from speakers, female, calm as a routine drill. Biohazard containment protocol activated. All corridors sealed. Evacuate or comply. Dr. Amani Akoy watched her team seal the vents. She keyed the flood sequence. Irritant aerosols hissed into the corridor, thick white fog laced with capsaicin analogs and lung irritants. Firebreaks ignited next, controlled burns racing along preset channels, devouring oxygen and brush. Pods hit dirt. Coalition troops spilled out, visors fogging instantly. Soldiers clawed at throats. Eyes burning, respiratory failure. Keth zoomed the feed. Gray haze swallowed his vanguard. Troops dropped, convulsing. What is that? Countermeasures. Unknown agent, his analyst choked. Not chemical warfare, matches their public health protocols amplified. Keth rerouted squads 3 and 4, push through. Breach the shelters ahead, take hostages, force their hand. Troops charged the fog. Boots sank in mud turned slurry by hidden irrigation bursts. Rain hammered down sudden, acid-laced from industrial runoff channels flipped open. Visibility zeroed. Sergeant Vek's squad breached the first shelter hatch. Doors buckled under plasma cutters. Inside, empty bunks, tripwires taut, Vek stepped forward. A low hiss. Earth fauna erupted, swarms of engineered hornets, stingers dripping neurotoxin. They dove for joints, visors, exposed vents. Vek screamed as mandibles pierced seals. His squad thrashed, collapsing in heaps. Keth's overlay flashed red. Casualties 20%. Fauna, they weaponized insects. Deeper feeds showed worse. Terrain traps sprung. Sinkholes yawned under false turf, swallowing drop pods whole. Rivers diverted mid-battle, flash floods sweeping flanks. Lightning cracked, human-guided strikes from drone relays frying electronics. Pull back, Keth barked. But reserves poured in, committed now. Imani moved through the transit maze. Quarantine bays hummed, civilians streaming past in hazmat lines. Keep tight, scans clear, move to vector blue. A mother clutched her child, eyes wide but steady. Doc, those things outside. Contained, Imani said. She checked vitals on her pad. Earth's got protocols for worse than aliens, hurricanes, plagues. This is Tuesday. Troops filtered through outer bunkers. Coalition pointman Rill crested a ridge. Wind shear hit, gusts to 80 knots, whipping debris like shrapnel. He fired blindly at shadows. A ravine trap gave way, pungy stakes laced with bacteria impaling legs. Rill's calm died in static. His squad vanished into undergrowth alive with thorns that pierced armor, vines that constricted like pythons under growth hormones. Keth gripped his chair. Models collapsed. Landing success 40% projected. Actual 12. How? It's a corridor, safe vector. Lyra burst onto the bridge, robes askew. Keth, abort. Their containment is planetary. We invade, they quarantine us. Thale overrode from command deck. No retreats. Flank the maze, orbital support on those fire lines. Keth patched into helmet cams. Squad 5 clawed through aerosol remnants, lungs ragged. They hit the transit hub, sealed bulkheads, automated turrets spitting irritant rounds. Humans evacuated behind them, no stragglers left. Imani sealed the last bay. Drones herded the final groups into maglev cars. All clear, activate maze lockdown. Bulkheads slammed. False corridors lit, mirrored dead ends laced with sonics, disorienting invaders into loops. Coalition troops wandered, firing at echoes until fatigue and irritants dropped them. One squad breached a civilian car. Empty seats, booby-trapped floors vented sedative gas. They slumped, zip-tied by Autobots before medevac. Keth screens multiplied failures. Fauna logs, wasps, spiders, feral dogs herded by whistles. Weather, monsoons summoned from reservoirs. Terrain, every hill a trapdoor. They're not fighting, Keth muttered. They're managing us. Private feed from a downed trooper. Massive roots burst soil, wrapping chassis. Fungal spores clouded air, corroding suits. Birds, flocks diving with precision, beaks cracking visors. Imani reviewed evac stats. 98% throughput. She tapped Vance's line. Corridor denied, civs safe in the deep lines, your fuel trains inbound? Affirm, Vance replied, her voice cut through static. Pushing synth fuel now, Earth gives, we refine. Keth watched armored trains snake through tunnels below, untouched. His ground teams encircled nothing, hostages zero, lines shredded. Thale's face filled Keth's panel. Report, strategist. Admiral, the planet disassembles us. Restraint snapped. Every tool, health, weather, wildlife turns weapon. We misread baseline. Thale sneered. Commit elites, psychic dampeners on, no more tricks. Pods launched anew, but feeds glitched. Human signals jammed them mid-drop. Keth pulled orbital scans, inland corridor, a web now. Quarantine grids overlapped, fire breaks reforming. And beneath, seismic rumbles, human drills activating. Imani felt the tremor, she smiled faintly. Geothermal vents next, boil the stragglers. Troops hit ground running or tried. Soil bubbled, steam vents erupting. Scalds ripped suits, screams cut feeds, Keth's math zeroed. Reserves gone, fleet battered above. Humans hadn't charged, they contained, dismantled from dirt up. Lyra yanked his collar. Call it off, negotiate before they invert the war. A new alert blared. Ground sensors, human counterforces massing. Not armies, swarms, civilian militias in envirosuits armed with sprayers, traps, vets from disasters wielding chainsaws and hazmat gear. Keth stared. The planet breathed retaliation, and his soldiers choked on it. Deep in the maze, Imani boarded the last train. Doors hissed shut. Engines hummed. Above the corridor burned anew, aliens trapped in Earth's immune response. Keth keyed fleet-wide. All units, missile plumes lit the horizon again. Ground launched, thicker salvo. They hungered for the sky. Explosions bloomed across the forward screens. Coalition frigates buckled, hulls venting plasma in silent fireballs. Keth Varun gripped his console as the bridge shuddered. Human missiles punched through point defenses, thicker than any simulation allowed. Shields at 40%, a tech barked. Admiral Soren Thale slammed his fist on the command dais. Enough, they want a war, teach them fear. He turned to the comms officer. Target population centers, maximal yield. Broadcast the strikes live to every human device. Let them watch their cities burn. Keth's scales prickled. Admiral models predict. Override. Soren's eyes narrowed. Fear breaks them before coordination does. Fire, relays hummed. Orbital batteries aligned. Warheads dropped in precise grids. New York, Shanghai, Lagos, Tokyo. Feeds split-screened the descent. Sleek killers arcing through atmosphere, countered by frantic human interceptors. Some pierced. Impacts flashed white. Keth pulled casualty projections. Millions. His math screamed retreat. But Soren leaned forward, grinning as panicked human broadcasts flooded open channels. Screams, sirens, see, they fracture. Static cracked the main viewer. Human signals hijacked the broadcast. A woman's voice cut through, calm as machined steel. This is Captain Mara Vance, Earth Defense Logistics Command. All civilian assets, execute Order 97. Convert grief to grid, now. Keth froze, Order 97. No database match. Mara Vance stood in the Denver Coordination Hub, screens blazing with strike data. A warhead had grazed Chicago, 600,000 gone in fire. She felt the weight settle, then pushed it aside. Logistics waited for no tears. She keyed the national net. Priority broadcast, all warehouses, farms, factories, reroute to mobilization grids, fuel to fire breaks, med supplies to forward clinics, trucking fleets, form convoys to quarantine zones, no delays, signatures auto-approved. Replies pinged instant. Truckers acknowledged from highways. Factory lines reprogrammed drones mid-shift. Grocery chains dumped perishables into relief pipelines. One order, nationwide sync. A junior officer gaped. Captain, strikes incoming on 3 coasts. Reserves are. Rerouted. Mara tapped a holomap. Red strike zones flipped green, supply webs weaving around them. Grief fuels the engine, keep it moving. Alarms wailed, fresh salvos inbound. Mara nodded to gunnery. Counter batteries hot, feed them the ghosts. Keth's console lit with anomalies. Coalition targeting relays glitched, telemetry feeds warping. Enemy positions ghosted inland where humans had no industry. Cyber intrusion, he snapped. Human teams in our nets, false data flooding guidance systems. Soren whirled. Purge them, too late. Keth traced the hack. It rooted deep, piggybacking elite drop pods. Human code slithered like native viruses, adaptive patient. Relays spat bogus coords, empty deserts, ocean troughs. Real human batteries stayed dark. Then they fired. Counter-battery plumes erupted from Keth's impossible zones, rooftops in rural sprawl, mobile rigs in national parks, silos under suburban fields. Missiles climbed, guided true. They shredded a cruiser mid-burn. "Admiral!" Keth bolted from his station, dodging sparking panels. He reached Soren's dais. "Pull back their coordination, it's total. Cyber, logistics, fire support, one mind." Soren shoved him. "Elites grounded, they'll crack the core from dirt level." But his voice cracked as another frigate died. Keth yanked up fresh scans. Human militias swarmed drop zones, not soldiers, but locals in sealed suits. Vets sprayed foam that hardened into barricades. Farmers drove harvesters rigged with sprayers, dosing troops with chemical brews. Wildlife handlers unleashed trained dogs in flak vests, ripping at suit joints. Psychic dampeners fizzled. Human normal ignored them, raw endurance, no psionics needed. Lyra Sen burst onto the bridge, robes askew. Strikes failed. "Humans jammed our broadcast, looped your order instead. They're rallying harder," Soren snarled. "Commit the reserves, full orbital glassing if," Keth's board screamed. Ground sensors spiked, seismic activity under elite pods. Vents cracked open, geothermal steam blasting at 200 degrees. Suits melted, troops boiled alive. "They're weaponizing the crust," Keth whispered. His models collapsed. Humans hadn't raged. They contained, scaled, turned Earth's own fury precise. A new ping, human counterfleet signatures, not warships, converted bulk freighters bristling with railguns from factory scrap. They rose from hidden yards, engines hot. Keth keyed fleet-wide. "All units evade, Doctor." Imani Akoy sealed her hazmat suit in the Seattle biolab train. Tremors rattled the cars, geothermal taps venting stragglers. She checked sprayer loads, antiviral foams tuned for alien biology, harvested from Earth's deep microbes. "Doc, elites breaching perimeter," her tech radioed. Imani smiled under her visor. "Good. Quarantine protocol, flood and seal." She triggered railside dispensers. Nanite mists billowed, clogging alien vents, corroding joints. Troops dropped, convulsing. The train lurched forward, plunging deeper into the corridor maze. Above, fire breaks reignited, drone swarms dumping accelerants. Aliens trapped in the web. Imani's comm buzzed. Mara's voice. "Biogrid's green, push the immune response." "Affirm." Imani gripped a rail. The planet healed itself, one breach at a time. Keth staggered as the bridge alarms peaked. Human freighters closed, rails spitting slugs that punched kinetic hell. A reserve pod feed died mid-transmission, militias chainsawing down craft, vets triaging specimens into mobile labs. Soren clutched his console, face ashen. "How? We outnumbered them 10-1. Keth met his gaze. "You struck for fear." They answered with everyone. Scans showed it, civilians as force multipliers, trucks as tanks, doctors as sappers. The math inverted, human baseline wasn't weak, it was restrained, until forced. Lyra grabbed Keth's arm. "Transmit surrender terms, now." Before they invert the fleet. Another salvo lit the void. Human missiles hungered upward, coordinated as breathing. Keth's fingers hovered over comms. Too late, fresh alerts blared. Human signals pierced the jam, a unified chant from ground to sky. "Hold the line." The fleet reeled, Earth's response scaled infinite. Keth slammed his console. Pods vectored in on the signal spike, an ancient debris field, tumbling relics from humanity's pre-warp scrapyards. Coalition jammers had failed. Human voices pierced the black, coordinating ground strikes with orbital precision. "Interceptors Alpha through Delta," Keth barked. "Burn the field, saturate with plasma lances. No survivors, no signals." Soren nodded from the command dais, his crest flared in approval. "And their chatter, fear needs silence." Pods accelerated. Keth patched feeds to his overlay. Wreckage loomed, shattered habitats, derelict boosters, a graveyard of human ambition. Interceptors swarmed, beams carving slag. Then static cracked the primary feed. A human freighter cobbled from debris ignited engines. Rails along its hull spat slugs, shredding 2 interceptors mid-burn. More hulks lit up, thrusters coughing to life on jury-rigged fuel cells. Keth's math shattered. "Impossible, that's scrap." Captain Mara Vance gripped the freighter's makeshift bridge rail. Her team, scavengers in patched vac suits, slammed panels home. "Satnit live, relay chains green, patch the gaps manual." A tech nodded, fingers flying over exposed wiring. "Orbital debris net active." Comms bounce worldwide, ground links restored. Mara keyed fleet-wide. "All units planetary net up, coordinates locked, hold the line." Signals bloomed across Earth's sphere. Militias synced. Rails thundered in unison. The debris field transformed, not junk, but an engine. Humans had turned their own graveyard into a shield. Keth's interceptors reeled. Half the squadron vaporized in crossfire. Survivors retreated, hulls venting. Human voices swelled, orders, cheers, unyielding rhythm. Regroup the wing, Keth snapped. Flank vectors. Soren overrode. Bombard the field, glass it. Lyra burst onto the bridge, scales paling. No, scans show civilian markers, they'll broadcast the strike. Keth ignored her. His overlays recalculated, human comms restored in minutes. Supply chains lit up, no breakdown, no panic. Fresh alerts pinged. Groundside, human triage hubs deploying. Dr. Amani Akoy ducked into a crater-rhymed outpost, med drones humming behind her. Wounded soldiers filled cots, burns, shrapnel, alien toxins. She scanned the line. Prioritize kinetics, nanites for chemburns. Cycle them back. A corpsman injected vials. Return to duty in 72 hours, Doc. 48, Imani said. Boosters tailored, immune hacks online. Troops stirred. One sat up, flexing rebuilt joints. Railside in 24, she nodded. Hydrate, you're the line. Hubs multiplied. Trucks hauled modular units to hot zones. Bioprinters spat splints. Genetics countered coalition plagues. Wounded returned not as burdens but blades, sharper. Keth's long-range feeds captured it. Hubs bloomed like weeds. Casualties cycled, in ragged out-precise. Human forces held tempo. No falter, strikes intensified. They're sustaining, Keth muttered. Indefinite, Soren whirled. Lies, fear breaks them. Watch. Keth pulled pod data, militias rotated flawless, logistics trains, human trucks, unmodified, pushed ammo under fire. No collapse, Mara's voice cut orbital nets again. Triage yields 92% RTB, rails reloaded, push vectors delta. Earth's grid pulsed, debris net fed targeting, rails answered. Keth labeled the pattern, species-level hazard, restraint weaponized, baseline endurance off charts. Coalition troops fatigued at 40% losses. Humans, 60% and climbing unbroken, interceptors limped back, pilots babbling. They rebuilt the wrecks, turned our strike into their net. Lyra seized Keth's arm. Pull back, negotiate, this isn't war, it's adaptation, Soren snarled. We crush adaptation. Keth's console lit. Human missiles clawed upward, debris-guided, perfect arcs, too late. The weak point fueled them. Keth traced the next spike. Human signals now chained through the debris engine, relays bouncing off fresh kills. Interceptors' corpses became nodes. Coalition dead, human gain. Admiral, Keth said, voice steel. Abort bombardment, their weakness scales our losses. Soren hesitated. Feeds showed it, triage hubs birthing legions, comms unified continents. Freighters from scrap closed on the fleet. Lyra activated envoy channels. Human command terms, static. Then Mara's calm reply, hold the line means hold your move. Keth's overlays screamed. Human tempo infinite. Coalition reserves burned. A pod feed flickered, Imani in a hub directing fire teams from med bays. Wounded manned guns, eyes clear. Humans didn't break, they rebuilt. Soren clutched his dais. Full retreat, Keth nodded once. The math demanded it, but missiles hungered closer. Debris nets sang with voices. Hold! The fleet turned. Earth's engine roared. Keth watched the void. Humans had named their war containment. Now they contained the stars. Fresh scans pinged. Ground forces advanced. Triage hubs trailed, converting battlefields to factories. Lyra whispered, what are they? Keth met her gaze. Us unrestrained. Alarms peaked. Human rails kissed orbit. Mara Vance steadied her freighter against debris wake. Net stable, fleet vectors plotted. Tex cheered. She silenced them. Mara to Imani, bio yields. Imani's reply crackled. Soldiers cycling. Plague vectors inverted. Your troops carry our counter now. Mara smiled faint. Logistics green, push. Earth spun below, grids alive. Coalition ships fled, shadows in the black. Keth's bridge shuddered. Evasive burns lit the void. They're chasing, Soren growled. Keth punched new sims. Human pursuit, precise, endless, no overreach. Restraint as blade. Lyra keyed open comms. Earth command, parley, your capabilities noted. Mara's voice returned, practical. Noted, dock or burn. The fleet scattered. Debris engine pursued. Keth labeled final report, hazard confirmed. Engage humans only if forced. They had forced it. Now Earth answered. Imani sealed a hub hatch. Troops surged out, rails hot. Line holds. She gripped her kit. The planet endured, one cycle at a time. Keth's console went dark. Human jammer, debris-sourced, swallowed the fleet. Silence fell. Then distant rails thrummed. Hold the line echoed eternal. Keth slammed his fist on the dead console. Sparks died under his scales. Lyra. Projections now, casualties at 98% if we push. Lyra Sen spun from her comms station. Her envoy robes hung askew. Bridge lights flickered red. Human jammers clawed at their signals. Strategist, calm your math, she keyed a private channel. Soren's strike launches in 5. Decapitation ends this. Keth thrust his tablet forward. Hollow charts bloomed, fleet vectors tangled in debris fields. Human freighters ghosted through the mess, rails spitting slugs that curved like guided knives. Look, red lines spiked. Their logistics reroute faster than our scouts predict. Ground triage hubs pump troops biohardened. We lose the gravity well. Alarms wailed. Soren Thale stormed onto the bridge. His admiral crest gleamed under sweat. Quiet the panic, Varun. Fear breaks them first. He jabbed a claw at the main viewer. Flagship dives, human command clusters vaporize. Keth's vents hissed. Coalition doctrine overwhelmed with precision strikes, but humans adapted. Restrained fire, endless resupply. No, Admiral, transmit ceasefire. Now, Soren laughed sharp. You predict wars, Keth. This one ends my way. Lyra hesitated. Her tendrils twitched. She patched open comms to Earth. Human command, this is Envoy Lyra Sen of the Coalition. Ceasefire terms, withdraw your pursuit vectors. We recognize your... Resolve, static crackled. A human voice cut through, calm female, Captain Vance, logistics chief. Envoy, terms received, stand down your strike group, dock coordinates follow, Soren snarled. Ignore it, he barked orders. All wings, Alpha strike, flagship leads. Engines thrummed, the bridge lurched as they burned toward Earth's blue marble. Keth gripped his station. Sims updated, human debris nets tightening, freighters repositioned, silent. They're not scattering, Keth muttered. He patched into scout feeds. Human ships formed a lattice, supply chains weaving gravity tugs. Lyra's eyes widened. What are they doing? Keth traced the pattern. Trapping us, using our momentum. Soren's flagship plunged, escorts flanked. Human rails answered, precise bursts that sheared wings, not cores. Debris bloomed. Pull up, Keth yelled, too late, gravity wells yanked. Human tugs, logistics haulers, fired grapples, cables snagged escorts. Soren's ship shuddered, engines whining against the pull. Bridge klaxons screamed, hull integrity at 60%. They're reeling us in, Lyra whispered. Keth watched the viewer. A human freighter loomed, Mara Vance's mark on its hull. Drones swarmed from bays, latching biopods, no killing shots, just containment. Intercepted audio leaked through jammers, Vance's voice steady. Imani net secure, bio-yields deploying. A second voice, Dr. Akoy, bio-lead. Pods away, counter-agents in their vents. Soldiers inbound via your rails, they'll breathe surrender. Soren pounded his throne. Evasive, fire all lances. Coalition lances spat plasma. Human freighters rolled, shields flaring. One pod breached their own hull, troops in sealed suits poured in, rails barking non-lethals. Borders, Keth's claws dug into his seat. Humans didn't rage, they contained. Turned invasion into quarantine. Soren drew his sidearm. Defend the bridge. Marines clashed in corridors, human precision against coalition bulk. Grunts echoed over internal comms. Lyra keyed surrender protocols. Admiral yield, projections confirm, Soren whirled. Never, a human breached the bridge hatch. Suited figure rail leveled. Biomist vented from its pack, inverting coalition plagues into paralytics. Soren fired, the suit absorbed it. Rail hummed, he dropped, twitching, troops swarmed. Keth raised empty claws, Lyra followed. The human, Vance's emblem, scanned them. Secure. Envoy terms stand, dock or we tow you dirt side. Lyra nodded fast. Dock, we comply. Keth exhaled, restraint. Humans held back until forced. Now they dragged the stars to heal, hours blurred. Flagship docked at a human orbital, grids humming with factories. Mara Vance strode aboard, flanked by Akoy's bioteams. No gloating, just scans, decon, logistics audits. Keth stood in the holding bay. Coalition survivors shuffled into shuttles. Lyra signed treaties under human eyes. Vance paused by Keth. Strategist Varun. Your sims were good, ours just looped them. He met her gaze, human eyes steady. You turned containment on us, she shrugged. Standard procedure, welcome to parley. They left. Earth spun below, rails cooling, no pursuit, just watchtowers. Keth activated his secure recorder. Bridge gone, he patched to a personal drone, last signal out. Final report, Coalition Expeditionary Force, Sol Containment War. Humans reclassified, restrained Apex survivors. Deathworld origin confirmed. Physiology tolerates extremes. Psychology weaponizes restraint. Normal operations show mercy, efficiency. Escalation reveals total commitment, no overreach, infinite sustain. Casualties, Coalition 96% attrition. Human ground losses under 5, orbital negligible. They do not conquer, they endure until forced. Recommendation, disengage Sol permanently. Hazard level existential if provoked. Varun out. Drone launched. It slipped human jammers, Coalition stealth core intact. Keth watched it fade into the black. Earth held, stars contained, but humans, they just fixed the breach. One cycle at a time. Fresh scans pinged from the station feeds. Human hubs expanded, triage to triumph. Lyra joined him at the viewport. What now? Keth turned. We leave and pray they stay restrained. Rails thrummed distant. Earth's answer echoed, hold the line.